I started one of my most recent Timberwolves videos off with Pat Beverly, so I really didn't want to start this one off with Pat Beverly, but you know what? Screw it. He went on that media tour. I don't feel bad about this. I'm going to ask the question. The question is, how many of you guys feel bad for Pat Beverly? He helped Minnesota make the playoffs this past year, went on a media tour once eliminated, and then signed an extension, which I'm sure led him to believe that he had unfinished business in Minnesota, only to get traded to the Utah Jazz in a monstrous package that would acquire none other than Rudy Gobert. The really fun thing about this Rudy Gobert trade is I think that it's so much deeper than meets the eye. And I'm not talking about the fact that Rudy Gobert was only getting like 2 passes a game from Donovan Mitchell, or the fact that there were reports that Donovan Mitchell had reached the him or me phase earlier this offseason. I'm not talking about any of that. Anyways, let's get into it. The Timberwolves would receive 1 Rudy Gobert. What would the Jazz receive? The Jazz would receive Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverly, Leandro Balmaro, Walker Kessler, Jared Vanderbilt, a 2023 first-round pick, a 2025 first-round pick, a 2026 pick swap, a 2027 first-round pick, and a 2029 first-round pick that is protected. I'm so happy that the Minnesota Timberwolves found it in themselves to put protection on that 2029 first-round pick, just in case this whole situation doesn't go as they plan. There was a little bit of sarcasm there, but honestly, the protection was a good move by the Minnesota Timberwolves. If nothing else, it was the least that they could have done. If you've been following my channel for a while, you would know that I have respected and defended Rudy Gobert when everybody was against him. Even when he got cooked by Brunson, I defended that. To be fair though, that wasn't really hard to defend. It was a 7-footer on a guard, and we all know about the Jazz perimeter defense woes. But anyways, I defended Rudy Gobert. I like Rudy Gobert. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Now, as somebody that really likes Rudy Gobert, even I think the Minnesota Timberwolves gave up an awful lot to go out and get Rudy Gobert. I wonder how Anthony Edwards feels about all of this. You guys remember that clip?
Was Gobert a factor there? Or it seemed like you guys were getting there and he wasn't affecting as many shots, and it's just we were just missing him.
I think he was in people's heads, like just he wasn't even blocking shots for real. I don't think. I think he was just people was just going to the rim and was just like, oh, they got Rudy Gobert. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling them like, bro, he's the same as anybody else, bro. Like to me, the best rim protector in the league is Porzingis. Like anytime I go against Porzingis, I don't get no layups. Like you know what I'm saying? So like, I don't get why we couldn't finish on Rudy Gobert, but. Don't put no fear in my heart, I mean.
To get back to the trade, Malik Beasley is great depth. In 2021, he averaged 19.6 points in 37 games while shooting 44% from the field and 39.9% from the three-point line. Patrick Beverly is Patrick Beverly. A lot of people don't like him, but he brings energy, and I actually think he's a somewhat valuable player. Leandro has potential, and Walker Kessler is somebody that coming into this year's draft that I was very, very high on. You lose Rudy Gobert and you get a rookie that's being compared to Miles Turner / Cole Aldridge back. Now there's a chance that Kessler never reaches this lofty Miles Turner comparison, but I like the chances of him being a high-level shot blocker in the NBA nonetheless. This is somebody that blocked virtually everything that was in his path in college. Blocking 4.6 shots per game while standing at 7'1", he was an absolute beast. Perhaps my favorite thing about Walker Kessler was his mobility. To move on to Jared Vanderbilt, there's no other way to put it. Every team needs a guy like Jared Vanderbilt. He's a high-level defender, he can defend multiple positions, and he's going to give it all almost every play. While the Minnesota Timberwolves gave up depth, they were able to get some back in free agency, even if it is just a little bit. I really like the signing of Kyle Anderson and what he brings on the defensive side of the basketball. He's a really good defender. To be honest with you guys, I like the Timberwolves lineup. I said it. Do I think that they gave up a lot for Rudy Gobert? Of course, but it's hard to ignore the fact that Rudy Gobert is a 6-time All-Defensive Team member, a 4-time All-NBA Team member, a 3-time All-Star, and a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Guys, I'll say it again. I like their lineup. I'd go as far to say that their lineup has the potential to be devastating on the offensive side of the basketball, and also on defense. Am I buying into the Minnesota Timberwolves right now? That's really not the way that I saw this video going. If the Minnesota Timberwolves start D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Karl Anthony Towns, and Rudy Gobert, that's a lineup that consists of 3 guys that are 6'9", 6'10", or taller. Jaden McDaniels has evolved into one of the better defenders in the NBA. He's versatile and his offensive upside is off the charts. Minnesota knows this, and this is why they were so hesitant to include Jaden McDaniels in any trade package to get Rudy Gobert. According to Tony Jones, getting 4 first-rounders for Gobert compensates for the lack of win-now talent that the Jazz are taking back. Utah wanted Jaden McDaniels bad, but Minnesota wanted to keep him out of the deal. Do you guys want to know who else was wanted bad? Rudy Gobert. According to The Athletic, they believe that Rudy Gobert raised their ceiling more than anybody else available. Had Minnesota gotten more aggressive with San Antonio in talks for DeJounte Murray, they could have outbid Atlanta, but they made it clear that they always valued Rudy Gobert more. Guys, in the comments below, let me know if that is a W or an L for the Minnesota Timberwolves. DeJounte Murray starting at guard alongside Anthony Edwards is interesting if nothing else. In my most recent Timberwolves video, I brought up the fact that there might be a big move on the Timberwolves' horizon due to the fact that they were able to steal Tim Connolly from the Denver Nuggets to become their president of basketball operations. You don't pay somebody the money that they paid Connolly to chill. They gave Tim Connolly a 5-year, $40 million deal after being seemingly set for the foreseeable future. Let's be real, the Timberwolves didn't have to make any sort of move. They could have organically gotten better. You've got Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns. You just drafted my guys Wendell Moore and Walker Kessler. The Timberwolves weren't short on talent. It's not like everybody was even close to reaching their ceiling. Anthony Edwards is only 20 years old. They didn't have to go win now. They wanted to be aggressive. This Rudy Gobert move has Lore, Rodriguez, and Connolly's hands all over it. As a matter of fact, I think that this was a statement move from Tim Connolly. If it works out, he looks like a genius. Tim recently said that he wants to win enough in Minnesota so that one day they put Karl Anthony Towns' jersey in the rafters. I know to some people it might not seem like much, but shout out to Minnesota for being able to secure Karl Anthony Towns for the long term. Karl got the bag and Minnesota got to keep one of its best players in what might not be one of the biggest markets. The Wolves' decision to go win now is not one that I really agree with, but it's one that I think will be entertaining nonetheless. It might just be me, but I feel like teams have been trying to load up this offseason. Now, we've talked so much about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's talk about what this trade might mean for the Utah Jazz. It was widely believed that when the Utah Jazz traded Royce O'Neal for a first-round pick and when they traded Rudy Gobert for this monstrous haul, that Donovan Mitchell would shortly become available because it would seem as if the Utah Jazz would be tearing everything down. Well, according to reports, that wouldn't necessarily be the case. Recently, a report dropped that stated that the Jazz have shut down any team who's called about trying to trade for Donovan Mitchell. The Jazz are committed to moving forward with him as their franchise cornerstone. Now, if I were to believe this report, which I'm not sure that I do, some of the assets acquired in the Gobert trade would present the Utah Jazz with an interesting opportunity. They could trade some of those assets for maybe more depth or another high-level player. Look, I don't know. Now check this out. I saw another report from Andy Blarson that stated that the sense surrounding Utah is that they're keeping their options open. They could retool around Mitchell or they could trade him for a massive haul to jumpstart a rebuild. While there is a chance that they are keeping their options open, and I would like that, I think that they do plan to jumpstart a rebuild. This Yahoo article that I was reading made a very good point. They said that's exactly what you'd say to gain leverage and drive up the price if they were going to trade Mitchell. Other teams look at the haul that the Jazz got for Gobert, notice that they hired a young rookie coach in Will Hardy, know CEO Danny Ainge's history, and see the writing on the wall for a rebuild. I'm trying really hard here to hold in my Brad Stevens references. I will say this though, it is really interesting that their coach is only 34 years old. Do I think that a Mitchell trade is imminent? I'm not sure, but I do think the timing of this video of him working out alongside Bam is comical. People are legitimately eating this video up, maybe for good reason, because according to Windhorse, the feeling around the league is that Mitchell gets traded soon. If the Utah Jazz wanted to pick a year to be bad, this might be the year. If you guys haven't heard of Victor Wembanyama, you might want to make yourself acquainted. I don't usually do videos on prospects, but this guy is so good that 2 years ago, I had to drop one. At 7'2", 7'3", he doesn't just play like a guard. He plays like one of the toughest ones in the association. He's got a monstrous wingspan, he dunks everything. He's widely considered one of the greatest international prospects ever. Imagine if you gave Rudy Gobert high-level offense. Ironically, here's a clip of him at 16 cooking Rudy Gobert. I know he wasn't really trying that hard, but it would be incredibly ironic if the Utah Jazz went from Rudy Gobert to Victor Wembanyama. This also isn't considered a one-player draft. I could talk about Scoot and some of the other prospects too, no problem. If the Jazz really did want to trade Mitchell and bottom out, this would be a very interesting year to do it. It's worth noting that apparently Nets owner Joe Tsai liked and unliked this tweet. If he really did like this tweet, it would appear that he thinks that Ainge is trying to create more leverage too. And maybe the tweet goes a little deeper than that. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of everything down in the comments below. I don't think that either of these teams are done making moves. The Timberwolves have a very interesting upcoming decision to make with D'Angelo Russell. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop. Until our next upload.